Today on Carib Nation, we're talking to Dr. Karla Hylton, author of The Unvarnished Truth, Purpose in the Pain. The author shares her powerful life story of triumph over tremendous challenges.
It's a real, raw, and touching read.
An intimate look into the life story of a fragile girl as she travails the ups and downs of her existence.
A breath of fresh air daring to strip back layers to reveal a raw, unfiltered essence of reality.
The writer profoundly articulated her experience where you felt every emotion. An easy read, and it was hard to put down.
Hylton undertakes a journey that is both intimate and revealing.
While the details of our individual stories may differ, the emotions, thoughts, etc. expressed are definitely relatable.
The book subtly reveals each personality with their own flaws and strengths, making them incredibly relatable.
Thanks for helping to break the stigma on mental health and suicide prevention.
Karla's story is every thinking person's story. It is both relatable and sensitive.
It is a masterpiece of strength and determination. A must-read for everyone.
This book helps you evaluate your purpose in life.
That's up next on Carib Nation. Welcome to Carib Nation. I'm Dr. Lisa Boyne-Singas, and today I'm joined by Dr. Karla Hylton, author of The Unvarnished Truth, Purpose in the Pain. Welcome, Dr. Karla Hylton. Thank you for coming on our show today, Carib Nation. And we are here to talk about your latest book. I just discovered this is your 8th book. If you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a wonderful book, The Unvarnished Truth, Purpose in the Pain. Welcome to Carib Nation.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, you're so very, very welcome. So you're all the way in Jamaica today, and we are here in US. So thank you again for taking the time. I love the book. It was fast read for me. I felt the presence of your struggle, of loss, of gain in so many levels. I would like to hear from you why you wrote the book. What is your purpose of releasing such a close and intimate story about you and your life?
Okay, well, Lisa, the answer to that, there are more than one reasons why I decided to write this book, but perhaps the most important reason was that I believe my story resonates with so many women out there, and many are afraid to put it down on paper, to go through the struggles that we as women go through, and so I wanted to be their voice. And there are lots of misconceptions too about who can suffer from mental illness and who suffers from suicidal ideation. I definitely wanted to remove that stigma around it.
The most important part I really like about your book, having read it, and I would love our viewers to look into that, is the fact that you gave your end result, at least what you learned from individual struggles. So if I can discuss some of the book, you had loss of parent and trouble with marriage, and then the divorce, and so many lies and different things that kind of kept layering and taking pieces away that led you to struggles with mental health. I find that if we don't talk about it, as you say, it's just going to be pushed back under the rug, and that's something we don't want. So, as this book has evolved, what in your childhood, being an Indian Jamaican lady, what in your childhood brought you to this point of saying, I'm going to be vocal and speak out?
My voice, I was always this timid little girl, Lisa, timid little girl, always trying to please everyone. But after all the struggles that I have been through, as an adult, well, from childhood into adulthood, I finally reached a place where I wanted my voice to be heard. I reached a place where I believe that I am of value. It's not just for me to please other people. I need to please myself and do what will bring me joy.
Tell us about yourself. What do you do? What is your career and your passions today?
Okay, well, my career, I operate a private tutoring business in Kingston, Jamaica, where I tutor 14 to 18-year-old students in biology, chemistry, and physics. So that's my career. I do have a PhD in biotechnology. So prior to tutoring, I used to lecture at the university. But now I'm quite happy in my private practice of tutoring, etc. I'm also an author, right? And I am quite passionate about writing. I get immense joy from writing. I also write a column in one of our major newspapers. I just love writing. That's the truth.
And I see most of your books are children's books. And what do they cover in that area? I saw a lot of them are related to kids.
Okay, so I have two series, a life skills series and a science series for children aged between 4 to 10 years of age. So I wanted to teach children topics in science such as photosynthesis, respiration, as well as life skills, diversity, how to deal with a bully, etc. So I plan to add to the collection as time goes by.
The first book that really hit me was helping parents to tutor and help their children develop to the optimal levels in academics. I mean, that is a big challenge for most parents. As a pediatrician, that is a very common conversation when we see children veer off slightly in terms of development or their learning or testing. That is a big one. Is that a very popular book compared to the others? And how do you use that book at this time?
Okay, so that book was the first book I actually wrote. Yes, you can help your child achieve academic success. And that one came about because of my tutoring as well, where many parents asked me for advice as to what they should be doing to help their child, succeed. And over the years, I have found that parents with all good intentions, there are certain little mistakes that they make along the way with good intentions, right? And I decided to do my research as well and put it down in a book so that everybody could have it to help them with their children. And most parents, it is a goal of most parents to have their children achieve successfully. And sometimes they do make mistakes, unintentional. I don't know if I should say mistakes, but unintentional mistakes that they could easily change that would help their child to improve in their studies. And so I decided to put everything down on paper and put it in a book. And lots of parents have told me that it helps tremendously. So I'm happy for that.
Coming back to your current book, The Unwavering Truth, how does it feel now that this book is very intimate? How does that response been? So you're doing book tours, and how do you feel? Because a lot of people would be have a lot of trepidation about revealing their truth on paper. Maybe definitely telling a friend in groups. Tell us more about that.
Writing the Unvarnished Truth was actually quite cathartic. It helped me in my own healing. And I have always tried to be a very open person. And so I wasn't really scared about divulging all my secrets, so to speak, all my wrongs, because they were also good. But yes, every single person has made a mistake in their life, right? And I have made many, and I acknowledge them, and I've learned from them. And so I'm moving on, and I want to encourage all persons, not just women, men as well, that, there are days that we struggle. There's always going to be a trial, a tribulation. So there's always going to be something, but we just have to move forward. There was a point that I gave up totally, but I believe that my life was spared for a reason. And perhaps that reason is to help other persons overcome their own struggles.
I saw the book honestly as a book that is self-help related. I very much saw myself as woman. Many things that you went through, I have been through as a mother, professional woman trying to succeed, and you're doing all the things that you want to do. And I found that I really enjoyed that at the end of each chapter, you gave your own personal moral or lesson learned.
Yes.
Kind of like, is there going to be a next step to the book? Because I do really feel that it's more of a self-help book than even cathartic, because it was so, at the end of each chapter, I felt that you went back to your spirituality. You went back to, well, what was the lesson that I needed to learn here? And you shared that. So I commend you for that. And also, what would you think, or what is going to be the next step? Because I really think that there's more to come here.
Well, yes, there actually is, Lisa. I am in the process of publishing a workbook to go along with the Unvarnished Truth, because you're not the first person to have said this to me, that, we need more. And I thought about it, and I have written a workbook. It's entitled Vanquishing Monsters. Right, all the monsters in our lives, and it's a self-help workbook. There is the first page of each chapter gives a little background and ties it in with the Unvarnished Truth, and then we go into exercises that one can do, questionnaires to find out if you are married to a narcissist, or you could be married to a narcissist, and steps that you can take. It talks about divorce, because even though that's not the ideal situation, these things happen. How do you tell your children? How do you handle it? I have a chapter on spirituality as well at the end, because I couldn't be here without the guidance of the divine. I'm definitely here because of God. And so I close the workbook with a chapter on spirituality.
Well, I love that, because I can already see a retreat coming. No, I really, I'm not over exaggerating or making this up. I do enjoy a good book that helps you look back into yourself and then see, well, where can, you shared so much that the person reading can also introspectively look, okay, where am I? Where would I need to work on that and this and that? Am I really being attuned to my heart, my wants and needs as a woman on an everyday level? So I enjoyed that. And so with the workbook, it will go, is it chapter by chapter to the book?
Yes, there are 12 chapters. And each chapter explores one of the themes that was in the Unvarnished Truth. So the first chapter starts out with pain. It goes on, it talks about motherhood, the joy and the struggle, breaking the chains of abuse, navigating narcissism. I mentioned that before. And so and suicidal ideation.
Suicidal ideation.
That one is a very important one, right? There is a chapter 2 is actually about suicidal ideation and things that we should be doing if it is that you feel suicidal, things that could help. I mean, this is not to replace a mental professional, but these are just exercises and worksheets to help the person overcome things that I did myself.
And so the purpose in the pain, the purpose for you mainly was what?
Well, I believe my purpose is to help others. And part of my pain is the estrangement of my adult children. So I find that perhaps I need to direct my energies onto other children. And honestly, I have helped so many children in the past 10 years that I've been in this business that I have left a legacy. I have a legacy in not just in my biological children, but in the other children that I tutor. And I also want to help persons with mental health struggles in particular. Many persons look at you and they say, oh, but you have a PhD, you're a doctor, so and so. Why would you feel suicidal? And that's a misnomer. It's there, it affects you, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're black, whether you're white, it has no,
it spares no person. It can, everyone and anyone is at risk. And yes, as a medical doctor, I see it often, the risk factors that can be there. And it's so many, it could be stress from all levels can cause and suicidal thoughts, and they just keep building. It's how you relieve that stress. Are you going to work on your spiritual side? Are you opening up? Are you writing a book? Are you telling your story? And this is what you did. Amazing.
Yes, I told my story to really help people, and I think it has, and I think it will continue to do so.
I think so. So tell us where to find the book.
Oh, it's available on Amazon. It's also available on Barnes and Noble.
And your tutoring business, please tell us about that so people can find you. How do people find you?
My business is called Yes Institute. It means Your Empowerment Solutions Institute. So people can contact me by visiting the website, which is www.yes/institute.com -institute. And my author website is www.khylton.com. And I'm easy to find, very easy to find. They Google me, I'm there.
Google, okay. Google and website. Wonderful.
Yes.
So people are going to look for this book on Amazon. Wonderful. So Dr. Hylton, please tell me about your family life that you most enjoyed as growing up in Jamaica.
Growing up, okay, so as a young girl. Well, I grew up in what they call the real country parts of Jamaica, so rural Jamaica, where our homes were on these vast land, so to speak. So we had a lot of place to run up and down, so to speak. That is the Jamaican patois. Run all around the place and explore. So as a child, we could go from neighbor to neighbor. It was safe, so to speak, in those days that, as children, we're just roaming, we're playing cricket. And yes, I used to play cricket too. My father was a big fan of cricket. So it was very laid back and easygoing. I think things have changed significantly in that our generation of children now, they don't have that much freedom, just to be children anymore. Things have gotten so competitive that they have to be focusing more on schoolwork. Not to say that I wasn't focused on my schoolwork, but we still had time for play.
Yeah.
And I find that is lacking in today's generation. They are so busy. They're so occupied. They hardly have any time for play.
Do you see that affecting their mental health, or is it really helping the extra levels and time that they spend on studies as an educator?
I don't think it is helping as much as parents think that it should. I personally believe that children need time to be children. They need play time. And you're not an adult until you're 18 years old. So that goes for the teenagers as well. They need time to just relax and do nothing. But nowadays, my students, I find that they're very occupied. Right after school, they may have extra classes, or they may have some sporting activity. And sports is good in of itself, but when it becomes so time consuming, because some of them now will have to spend 4 hours swimming or 4 hours doing tennis or whatever it is, then you are, it's like a double-edged sword now. You have too much time doing other activities and too little doing school. So there has to be a balance. I honestly feel that balance is what is important and what is lacking.
You see a lot of children tired,
They're tired.
tired all the time, sleeping easily if they sit down somewhere where it's quiet and actually not on the social media. They seem to fall asleep very easily, and then it disrupts their nighttime.
They are not getting enough sleep. That's one of the major problems I find with my students. They are boggled down a lot with homework and other activities, so they are not able to complete their tasks until sometimes 11 p.m., 12 p.m. That's just too late to be going to bed, I think.
I agree. I agree. And I think that's a world problem. The level of competition is very high, and they start this need for that achievement in their kids from very young, probably from like third, maybe like 8 years old. It starts. That's what I see. Yeah.
Starts here in Jamaica too at that age, because they have these examinations, the entrance examinations into high school. So these students are very pressured, and I feel it may end up causing mental health issues as they get older, or even now, these teenagers, they're suffering. They have a lot of turmoil within their minds right as we speak. Yes.
I agree. I agree. And how do you, since you're doing the tutoring and extra that they do need many times, how does that what position does that put you in?
Well, actually, I am not one of those tutors that encourage parents to send them to every single subject. What I firmly believe is that if your child has a weakness in one or two particular areas, then okay, get them help. However, what we're finding is that some parents will just have them do extras in all their subjects.
Oh, okay.
Cannot be good for the child, and I discourage that. And because they have to get time to rest. With my own children, I always made sure they were never burdened with schoolwork. There is always time for relaxation, because I think that was important, and they have achieved. So
Proof is in the pudding.
yes.
Oh, wonderful. So your childhood sounds wonderful. Did that all the freedom you had change when you got to high school?
Really, because we did move location to a little bit to the capital of the parish that I lived in. So it was a little bit more, or should I say a little less rural, but still rural, less rural.
Oh,
And no, I still played. I still played. My brothers, I have 3 brothers, we played. And, we still played with the neighbors and so on. So we still had time to relax.
And you had big family overall, cousins, aunts.
Yes, and yes, my parents, both of them had large families,
Mm.
families, and we would go down to their part of Jamaica to visit them, and they would come up to us too. And yes,
On road trip.
it was good. Family stuck together.
Wonderful. So that and then when you had your children, the focus on your children was the utmost. And I can see that in the book, that your children were number one because of that foundation you had.
Yes, yes, I did make them the center of my world, which is not necessarily a good thing, but I perhaps I overdid it a little, but.
Well, speak to that because you did speak to that in the book. So speak to that in terms of what do you feel is a more of a healthier balance?
In my case in particular, even though I I was educated, had a good job, etc. When the children came, I decided to, first of all, reduce my workload. So I was working part-time. And then after a period of time, I completely quit my job and I was a stay-at-home mom. During that time, I did help my husband at the time in his business, but I decided, well, it wasn't my decision alone, it was our decision, right? And we decided that it would help our children in that they were also caught in the busyness of life. And we didn't really want to employ somebody to actually go and take them from here to there, from there to here. And so I decided to do that. My son also needed a little extra help. And I decided rather than to send him somewhere else, that I would be the one to assist him to, succeed academically. Because academic success is important to everybody, I believe. To most parents, they want their children to succeed. And I was one of them as well. So, but I still try to maintain a balance in their life. However, in my life, perhaps I should not perhaps, if I had to do it over again, I would not have quit my job totally. And I would have tried to maintain a balance and that, look after me as well. Yes, we want to look after our children, of course, but I needed to look after me as well. And that's something I neglected to do.
Well, I believe that's the focus on the whole book. As women, we need to focus on ourselves a good deal. And then once we are pillars, in as much as we can, then we can build our children, our relationships, and friendships, and foster good things around us. I really got that from your book. I really enjoyed The Unvarnished Truth, Purpose in the Pain by Dr. Hylton. Thank you for coming on Carib Nation today, all the way from Jamaica.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. This was really fun.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you again. And thank you for joining us on Carib Nation TV. Until next time, I'm Dr. Lisa Boyne.